Will Goldstein here from thekingscourt.com. I'm doing a series again on called On Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. So here's a book. Feel free to pick it up and read it anytime you like, but this is sort of I'm doing sections of the book and put it in my own words, or just paraphrasing what he's saying. And but anyway, so also you can feel free to subscribe down there in the right hand corner down there if you like these videos. Again, I'm a musician. You check out my website, thekingscourt.com. There's books, there's sheet music and songbooks and digital albums. Anyway, so back to this. So this video is the third video in this series, and he titles it Some Objections. I'm giving a slightly different title because it's a little clearer to what he's really talking about. So I'm labeling this Moral Law Over Instinct. So first of all, he says moral law, is there something about moral law that's really the same as what some people would call herd instinct? And so people are prompted by their instinct to act in a certain way, and perhaps they may have a desire to help someone. But he's saying that that desire to help someone is really a feeling, and it's really quite different from the idea that you ought to help that person. And then he gives a illustration of saying somebody's crying for help. Maybe someone's in danger, a man's in danger perhaps, and you might have two responses or two desires. And one of them might be to help that person, and the other might be to keep out of danger. Who knows what could happen? This could be a trap. So he's saying that there really is a third option, and there's something that tells you that you ought to help that person. And so the impulse is to help or not to help, but there's something that also tells you that you ought to, and that you should suppress the impulse to run away and maybe be a coward and not step up and help someone who's in need. And so he's saying that the moral law is that thing in between that judges between these two instincts. It's really not one or the other, it's the judge over them. And that's what he calls the moral law. And he likens it unto a tune to play, like in music. And he would say that the instincts to help or to run are the keys, like in music. And he says there's really no such thing, more C.S. Lewis, as good or bad impulses. They are just simply impulses. So the moral law isn't really any one of them. It's something in you that is a kind of a tune of a goodness or a right conduct that's really directing the instincts. And that's what he's calling the moral law. And then he says the most dangerous thing you can do is to take any impulse in your own nature and set it up as what you should do all the time. It's sort of like follow at any cost. Okay, he says if you do that, you're likely to, it would make people like devils, because they're just following their instincts. And well, if there's nothing to judge in those instincts, follow your instincts. Well, who knows what you'll do? So you'd be like a devil. So he also is saying that he's talking now about progress, and progress to C.S. Lewis means that you're changing for the better, and that you're he's saying if there really wasn't any sort of moral idea of what's true or better than anything else, then there'd be no sense in preferring any kind of civilized morality over any other kind of morality, such as a savage morality. And he gives illustrations to the Nazis, But he's suggesting that, and I think most people would agree, that some moralities are better than others. For example, was Adolf Hitler really on the right track? I don't think so. So, So you have these one set of moral ideas can be better or worse than any other. And so it's like a measuring rod. But we have to have a standard above that to understand which ones are drawing closer or nearer to that standard than any other. And so he's saying, like I said, some are better than others. So there's something to compare them. He would say there has to be something real. He calls it a real morality. And there's something that is really right. And it's independent. It's not really what you think. It's just a truth that is. And some people's ideas are clearer or nearer to that real right than others. It's sort of like the ladder of spiritual ascent. That's basically what the name of this website that I'm on. So if the rule of decent behavior meant that anything that anyone just happens to approve of, then there'd be no sense then in saying that any one nation or any one society is any more correct in the way that it's doing things than any other one. And so he's saying that the whole idea, the best idea, is that nations in this world can align themselves closer to the right, and so that the world can grow morally better. Because if not, then it could also grow morally worse. Or different sections of the world could be morally better or morally worse. And he ends with this idea, and it has to do with witches. So he's saying 300 years ago in England, they were putting witches to death. And he's saying the reason, this is his idea, the reason that they don't put witches to death nowadays is that we don't believe there are such things. But then he goes on to say that if we really did believe, and we really did think that there were people around who sold themselves to the devil, and because they had done that, they got all the supernatural power from the devil to do all these evil deeds, then truly these people, and they're out driving people mad and killing people and doing all these sorts of things through the power of the devil, then if anyone deserved the penalty of death, these filthy, he calls them quislings, surely do. What do you think?